There is an ancient truth known by mystics and spiritual seekers across time: healing is not something we struggle to achieve, it is something that happens when we stop interfering with the divine intelligence already functioning within us. The body was designed with a wisdom far beyond human thinking. Hearts beat, wounds close, cells renew, and life continues without our conscious effort. Something greater is at work. Most people approach healing as a battle. They fight symptoms, fear disease, and constantly worry about the future of their health. Yet fear tightens the mind and body, creating resistance. When we live in anxiety, we disconnect from the deeper current of life flowing through us. Healing becomes difficult not because divine power is absent, but because we are mentally blocking its expression. Divine consciousness is the silent presence within every person. It is not distant or reserved for saints, it is the very essence of life itself. When we become quiet inwardly, when we pause the endless worries and judgments, we begin to feel a peace that does not depend on circumstances. In that stillness, healing begins to unfold naturally. Think about how the body heals a cut while you sleep. You do not command cells to repair tissue. You do not supervise the process. Healing occurs because intelligence beyond the human mind is constantly at work. This same intelligence governs deeper restoration as well. When consciousness aligns with peace and trust, the body responds. Ancient teachings remind us that illness often mirrors inner tension, unresolved fear, or the belief that we are separate and alone. When we feel disconnected from life, stress enters every system of the body. But when awareness shifts and we feel supported by a presence greater than ourselves, tension softens. Breath deepens, the nervous system calms. Healing mechanisms activate. Divine consciousness does not heal through force, it heals through harmony. As sunlight naturally melts ice, spiritual awareness dissolves inner conflict. The body, freed from emotional and mental strain, returns toward balance. This does not mean we ignore medical care or deny physical conditions. Instead, we recognize that true healing works on both inner and outer levels. Treatments can support recovery, but deep restoration comes when fear is replaced with inner certainty that life itself is working for us. Many people report that when they stop obsessing over illness and begin cultivating gratitude, prayerful stillness, or meditation, improvements occur unexpectedly. Energy returns, pain decreases, strength grows. It feels automatic because the body finally receives permission to function according to its original design. Healing begins when we realize we are not separate from the source of life. The same intelligence guiding galaxies flows through every cell. When we become conscious of this truth, trust replaces struggle. Instead of asking, "How do I fix this?" we begin to rest in awareness, allowing divine wisdom to operate freely. The ancient truth is simple yet profound. Divine consciousness does not need assistance. It needs only our openness. When the mind grows quiet and the heart becomes receptive, healing moves naturally through us, restoring balance in ways the thinking mind cannot predict. And in that realization, we discover that healing was never something we had to earn. It was always unfolding within us, waiting for our awareness to awaken. Divine consciousness refers to the living intelligence that silently sustains every function within the human body, operating beyond personal control or intellectual effort. And this understanding shifts healing from struggle toward recognition that life already contains restorative wisdom working continuously beneath awareness, guiding circulation, repairing tissues, balancing chemistry, and coordinating countless processes without demanding anxious supervision from the thinking mind. Inviting individuals to trust an inner order present before fear or doubt create tension within daily experience, gently reminding seekers that natural harmony remains active even when symptoms appear confusing or overwhelming during challenging periods of physical vulnerability and uncertainty. When people believe healing depends solely upon external intervention, they often overlook subtle signals revealing how consciousness influences bodily conditions, since persistent fear tightens muscles, disturbs sleep, alters digestion, and weakens immune responses, whereas calm awareness encourages relaxation, allowing organs and cellular systems to function with greater efficiency, proving that inner states quietly shape outer health outcomes more deeply than many realize, because the body constantly listens to mental environments created through habitual thought patterns, emotional reactions, and long-held assumptions regarding vulnerability, aging, and limitation carried across personal histories into present physical experiences, affecting recovery in profound yet unseen ways, especially when individuals learn to rest attention upon the silent presence underlying thought, where divine consciousness expresses peace independent from circumstances, gradually dissolving mental resistance that once fueled stress reactions within nerves and glands, enabling circulation and hormonal balance to stabilize naturally without excessive intervention, revealing healing as cooperation with life rather than a battle against symptoms perceived as enemies, because deeper awareness recognizes discomfort as signals inviting alignment with sustaining intelligence already active throughout every living structure. patiently awaiting acknowledgement instead of resistance born from misunderstanding about separation between humanity and sacred sustaining power flowing within all beings. Many ancient healing traditions taught that awareness of divine presence restores balance, because attention withdrawn from fear removes energetic pressure placed upon bodily systems, which then resume normal rhythms supporting recovery, demonstrating that consciousness acts like an atmosphere surrounding every cell, influencing responsiveness to nourishment, rest, and treatment, making spiritual stillness a practical contribution to wellness rather than abstract philosophy, since harmony experienced inwardly often appears outwardly through renewed vitality, improved resilience, and clearer perception guiding healthier choices supporting long-term stability across changing conditions encountered throughout ordinary human journeys shaped by relationships, responsibilities, environments, and evolving personal expectations daily. Understanding divine consciousness also transforms attitudes toward illness, replacing panic with curiosity about messages communicated through discomfort, encouraging compassionate listening instead of harsh self-judgment, which frequently intensifies suffering through shame or hopelessness, while gentle acceptance relaxes defensive reactions, allowing restorative processes to unfold more freely across nervous, immune, and endocrine networks cooperating intelligently beyond conscious awareness, proving healing unfolds automatically when mental interference softens and trust replaces compulsive monitoring of symptoms dominating attention, freeing energy previously trapped in anxiety so vitality supports renewal across tissues needing restoration during vulnerable seasons experienced by countless people navigating uncertain medical journeys worldwide. Furthermore, recognizing healing as expression of divine consciousness invites daily practices nurturing receptivity, including meditation, contemplative prayer, mindful breathing, and gratitude, each quieting mental noise that normally disrupts natural equilibrium supporting physical restoration, because serenity signals safety within biological systems, allowing regeneration mechanisms to operate without emergency responses draining resources required for repair, thereby demonstrating that spiritual awareness cooperates with physiology in profoundly practical ways accessible to anyone willing to pause habitual striving long enough to perceive life moving gently beneath personal effort, guiding recovery to renewed strength amid circumstances previously considered hopeless or irreversible by discouraged observers watching love. One struggle, yet deeper insight reveals that divine consciousness never abandons its creation, continuously offering restorative influence even when individuals temporarily forget their connection to sustaining presence, and remembering this truth reduces desperation surrounding diagnosis while awakening confidence that healing possibilities remain active beyond visible evidence, encouraging patience while internal adjustments reorganize bodily functions toward greater coherence, guided medical discovery shaping existence across generations, sharing universal inheritance rooted within sacred consciousness, sustaining life throughout countless unfolding moments, shaping recovery experiences, seeking reassurance amid ongoing uncertainty, influencing collective across fragile human expectation, everywhere today. Recognizing this presence encourages individuals to release excessive control, soften fearful expectations, and allow consciousness itself to restore order within tissues, responding quietly to trust replacing resistance, revealing health emerging naturally as awareness aligns with sustaining wisdom, guiding existence beyond personal understanding through processes continually renewing vitality across changing bodily conditions experienced during ordinary living without demanding struggle from minds, learning gentle surrender in ever-present healing intelligence supporting legalness within evolving human journeys across shared earthly life. Healing unfolds most naturally when the human mind releases its constant effort to control outcomes and instead becomes quiet, open, and receptive to the deeper intelligence already operating within life, because much of human suffering arises not only from physical conditions but from mental resistance, fear, and continuous analysis that tighten the body and disturb natural balance, creating internal tension that interferes with restorative processes quietly working beneath awareness, revealing how the state of mind plays a crucial role in determining whether healing movements flow freely or remain obstructed by emotional strain and anxious anticipation regarding future possibilities or imagined consequences surrounding illness. The modern world conditions individuals to believe solutions come only through effort, struggle, and force, so when sickness appears, people often intensify mental activity, researching endlessly, worrying constantly, and attempting to control every variable. Yet this very pressure places the nervous system into prolonged stress responses, releasing hormones that exhaust immunity, disrupt digestion, disturb sleep, and increase inflammation, making recovery more difficult despite sincere intentions to regain health, proving that the mind's frantic attempts to solve problems sometimes create additional obstacles rather than relief. especially when fear replaces trust and attention becomes fixed upon symptoms instead of underlying wholeness quietly sustaining life. When the mind becomes still, however, something remarkable begins to happen inside the body as breathing deepens naturally, muscles soften, circulation improves, and the nervous system shifts from defensive patterns toward restorative states that allow tissues to repair and immune responses to function effectively, illustrating how mental quietness acts not merely as emotional comfort but as biological cooperation with healing forces already present, enabling internal systems to reorganize and correct imbalances that stress previously amplified, showing that peace within consciousness produces tangible effects throughout the physical organism in ways scientific research increasingly acknowledges through studies connecting stress reduction with improved recovery outcomes. Stillness does not mean passivity or denial of medical care, but rather a conscious release of internal struggle, where individuals stop fighting their experience and instead allow awareness to rest in present acceptance. Recognizing that resistance consumes energy needed for healing while openness restores harmony, encouraging individuals to listen inwardly rather than react impulsively to fear-driven thoughts that magnify suffering, because much mental pain arises from imagined futures rather than present realities, and when attention returns gently to immediate experience, anxiety loses its power to disturb bodily equilibrium necessary for recovery. Receptivity also involves trusting that life contains intelligence beyond personal understanding, guiding healing processes even when outcomes remain uncertain, and this trust reduces desperation that frequently accompanies illness, replacing panic with patience that supports emotional stability essential for sustained recovery, since prolonged fear signals danger within biological systems, keeping the body locked in survival mode rather than restorative functioning, whereas calm expectancy communicates safety, allowing natural healing responses to operate more efficiently across organs, glands and cellular networks cooperating continuously to maintain balance within changing circumstances encountered throughout human experience shaped by environmental, relational, and psychological influences affecting overall well-being. In quiet receptivity, individuals often report intuitive guidance emerging regarding rest, nutrition, treatment decisions, or emotional changes needed for recovery, suggesting that when mental noise diminishes, deeper awareness provides direction unavailable during periods of stress, highlighting how healing intelligence communicates subtly through inner clarity rather than external pressure, and this clarity becomes accessible only when the mind stops insisting on immediate solutions and instead listens patiently for insight arising from deeper consciousness, harmonizing bodily and mental states simultaneously within unified experience, integrating emotional, physical and spiritual dimensions previously perceived as separate aspects of life. Fear often arises from believing one must personally manage every aspect of healing. Yet this belief ignores countless processes already functioning without conscious control, including heartbeat regulation, cellular renewal, and immune surveillance constantly protecting the body, reminding individuals that life supports them continuously, and when awareness aligns with this truth, mental tension decreases, allowing healing energy to circulate freely rather than being restricted by anxiety, tightening internal systems, responding defensively to perceived threats, amplified through habitual worry, reinforced by societal emphasis on worst case outcomes surrounding health challenges confronting modern populations seeking reassurance amid uncertainty. As the mind learns to rest in quiet receptivity, emotional burdens gradually dissolve, relationships improve through reduced irritability caused by stress, and hope replaces despair, all of which contribute indirectly to healing because emotional well-being influences physiological responses shaping recovery trajectories, proving that inner peace functions as practical medicine complementing physical treatment, guiding individuals toward lifestyle supporting sustained health through balanced living rather than constant tension draining vitality required for resilience during times of vulnerability encountered unpredictably across humans reflects the condition of consciousness held within, revealing through physical expression the harmony or conflict carried silently in thoughts, emotions, and deeply rooted beliefs shaping daily perception, because consciousness forms the unseen environment in which bodily processes operate, influencing patterns of tension or relaxation, vitality or exhaustion, resilience or vulnerability, demonstrating that health is not merely mechanical, but intimately connected with inner awareness guiding responses to experiences encountered across relationships, work pressures, personal expectations, and emotional memories accumulated throughout life, each leaving subtle impressions that gradually appear in physical conditions shaping well-being over time. When consciousness becomes burdened with fear, resentment, guilt, or chronic anxiety, the body responds as if facing continuous threat, activating survival mechanisms intended for short-term emergencies yet harmful when prolonged, leading to elevated stress hormones, tightened muscles, restricted breathing, impaired digestion, and weakened immunity, all contributing to conditions that manifest as fatigue, pain, inflammation, or susceptibility to illness, proving that inner conflict silently alters physiological functioning without individuals realizing how persistent emotional patterns influence organs and tissues responding faithfully to mental environments, shaping bodily experience beyond conscious awareness, guiding countless internal adjustments throughout ordinary living. Conversely, when consciousness grows peaceful and balanced, the body mirrors this harmony through smoother circulation, steadier heart rhythms, improved sleep quality, and stronger immune defenses capable of resisting infection and repairing damage more effectively, revealing that inner tranquility directly supports physical restoration, because relaxed awareness communicates safety to biological systems, allowing energy previously consumed by stress responses to become available for healing, maintenance, and renewal processes, continuously working to sustain life within complex cellular networks cooperating intelligently across organs, maintaining equilibrium essential for well-being across changing circumstances shaping human journeys. This connection between consciousness and bodily expression becomes evident when observing how emotional experiences immediately affect physical sensations, such as stomach discomfort during anxiety, headaches following prolonged tension, or fatigue accompanying sadness, showing that mental states do not remain confined within thought but move through nerves, hormones, and muscular responses, translating psychological conditions into physical realities shaping health outcomes, reminding individuals that addressing inner life contributes significantly to recovery rather than focusing solely upon symptoms appearing externally without understanding underlying influences guiding bodily responses over extended periods, affecting resilience or susceptibility to illness. Many individuals notice improvement in chronic conditions when they resolve emotional conflicts or release long-held resentments, suggesting that consciousness previously burdened by unresolved experiences impose stress upon bodily systems, and once emotional harmony returns, physical symptoms often diminish or disappear as organs resume balanced functioning free from psychological pressure, illustrating how healing sometimes requires inner transformation alongside physical treatment. Acknowledging that consciousness acts as blueprint guiding bodily expression, reflecting either coherence or discord, shaping health trajectories encountered across evolving life circumstances, influencing overall vitality experienced daily. Ancient healing traditions recognize this relationship, teaching that harmony within mind and spirit produces harmony within the body, encouraging practices cultivating awareness, compassion, forgiveness, and gratitude not merely for moral development but because these qualities support physical well-being through calming nervous responses and promoting biological balance, demonstrating that consciousness aligned with positive emotional states strengthens resilience against illness while nurturing recovery when challenges arise, proving that wellness involves integration of mental, emotional, and physical dimensions cooperating continuously rather than functioning independently as once believed within limited mechanistic perspectives dominating earlier medical understanding, shaping contemporary approaches, now gradually expanding toward holistic views. Modern research increasingly confirms these insights, revealing how meditation, mindfulness, and emotional regulation practices reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and improve immune responses, validating ancient wisdom, acknowledging consciousness as central influence shaping bodily conditions, suggesting healing efforts become more effective when individuals cultivate inner peace alongside receiving medical care, because consciousness establishes conditions determining whether treatment support recovery optimally or encounter resistance arising from persistent stress or fear, disrupting physiological balance necessary for healing, highlighting importance of addressing mental environments shaping bodily responses, influencing long-term outcomes across diverse health experiences encountered throughout contemporary societies, seeking sustainable approaches supporting holistic well-being. Consciousness also influences behaviors affecting health choices, since individuals experiencing inner harmony naturally gravitate toward nourishing habits including balanced nutrition, regular movement, and restorative rest, whereas those struggling emotionally may neglect self-care or seek comfort in harmful habits, weakening bodily resilience, showing that consciousness indirectly shapes physical health through lifestyle patterns, reinforcing either vitality or decline, depending upon underlying awareness, guiding across months and years, repeated daily effects, shaping long-term conditions, determining overall well-being across evolving personal journeys influenced by emotional climates, shaping motivations, affecting health outcomes, as amusing need, relatively of wellness across communities worldwide. Understanding the body as expression of consciousness invites individuals to observe inner experiences compassionately, recognizing emotional disturbances not as personal failures but as signals requesting attention and healing, encouraging practices restoring mental clarity and emotional stability that subsequently support physical restoration, revealing that harmony within consciousness naturally manifests as harmony within bodily systems, responding faithfully to inner conditions, guiding physiological processes beyond conscious control, confirming that transformation within awareness often precedes improvements observed physically as individuals learn, aligning thoughts and emotions with peace, nurturing vitality expressed through resilient health sustained by balanced consciousness, reflecting unity between mind, body, and life, continually renewing strength, supporting wholeness experienced through evolving human existence, unfolding gently within interconnected dimensions, shaping recovery experiences, guiding well-being across changing circumstances, nurturing resilience, sustaining life harmoniously within integrated awareness, expressing vitality continuously across embodied experience, shaping human journeys everywhere. Many obstacles to healing arise not from the absence of restorative power within the body, but from psychological and emotional conditions that restrict its natural expression, especially fear, chronic stress, and deeply ingrained beliefs about separation, vulnerability, or inevitable decline, which create inner resistance that disrupts the delicate balance required for recovery, since the body continuously responds to signals generated by the mind, interpreting persistent anxiety as danger and adjusting biological functions accordingly, often at the expense of long-term healing, revealing how unseen mental patterns quietly interfere with processes meant to preserve health and restore vitality throughout changing phases of human experience shaped by uncertainty and personal struggle. Fear acts as one of the most powerful disruptors because it activates survival mechanisms designed for immediate threats rather than ongoing concerns, releasing stress hormones that increase heart rate, tighten muscles, restrict digestion, and divert energy away from restorative functions toward emergency readiness, which becomes harmful when sustained for weeks or months, weakening immune defenses and impairing cellular repair, making the body more susceptible to illness while slowing recovery, demonstrating how fear intended to protect ultimately becomes destructive when constantly stimulated by worries about health, finances, relationships, or imagined future events, dominating attention and draining resilience needed for healing processes operating silently beneath conscious awareness. Stress compounds this challenge by keeping the nervous system locked in alertness, preventing the deep relaxation required for tissue regeneration, hormonal balance, and immune function necessary for restoring equilibrium after injury or sickness, showing that individuals under constant pressure often experience fatigue, headaches, digestive disturbances, and weakened resistance to infection, not because their bodies lack healing capacity, but because stress continuously signals danger, forcing biological systems to prioritize immediate survival over maintenance and repair, illustrating how modern lifestyles filled with relentless demands and overstimulation unknowingly undermine health by sustaining conditions incompatible with natural healing rhythms evolved over millennia, supporting human resilience. Equally influential are beliefs about separation, particularly the perception that one is isolated from sustaining life or abandoned during illness, creating feelings of helplessness that intensify suffering and diminish motivation for recovery, as individuals who feel disconnected often experience despair that suppresses immune responses and disrupts sleep patterns essential for healing, whereas those sensing connection with supportive communities or spiritual presence frequently demonstrate greater resilience, suggesting that consciousness of belonging or unity strengthens physiological responses supporting restoration, proving emotional and spiritual perceptions shape physical outcomes more profoundly than many acknowledge within contemporary health discussions, emphasizing mechanical explanations alone. False beliefs regarding health also obstruct recovery, especially assumptions that certain conditions are permanent or inherited without possibility of improvement, leading individuals to surrender hope prematurely, which discourages beneficial lifestyle changes or treatment adherence capable of enhancing well-being, showing how expectations influence bodily responses through psychological pathways affecting hormonal balance and immune functioning, demonstrating that pessimistic outlooks subtly reinforce illness, while hopeful perspectives encourage resilience and adaptive responses, facilitating healing across various conditions encountered during human journeys shaped by personal histories influencing current perceptions, guiding reactions toward health challenges experienced unexpectedly. Furthermore, emotional wounds carried from past experiences frequently manifest as physical symptoms when unaddressed, since unresolved grief, anger, or guilt generate chronic tension that disrupts nervous and endocrine systems, regulating bodily equilibrium, highlighting importance of emotional healing alongside medical care, because individuals who release suppressed feelings often notice improvements in pain levels, energy, and overall wellness, revealing how psychological burdens translate into physiological stress, influencing organs and tissues responding to internal conflict, seeking resolution through awareness and compassionate self understanding supporting gradual restoration across complex bodily networks, maintaining health amidst emotional turbulence affecting countless individuals, navigating difficult life transitions impacting well-being. The sense of separation from others also intensifies stress responses, as loneliness has been shown to increase inflammation and weaken immunity, proving that human beings thrive through connection and shared support. And when individuals withdraw due to fear or shame surrounding illness, healing becomes more difficult, whereas environments offering compassion and encouragement foster emotional safety, encouraging relaxation that enables natural restorative mechanisms to function more efficiently, demonstrating that healing often flourishes where community replaces isolation and understanding softens defensive reactions, preventing recovery previously hindered by emotional withdrawal rooted in perceived separation, undermining confidence necessary for sustained healing progress. Recognizing these internal barriers encourages individuals to address fear, challenge limiting beliefs, and cultivate connection rather than focusing solely on physical symptoms, because once mental and emotional resistance diminishes, the body frequently begins restoring balance automatically, guided by intelligence continuously working to preserve life. Proving healing is less about forcing change and more about removing obstacles, preventing natural processes from functioning optimally. Awareness of divine presence gradually transforms the way individuals experience illness by shifting attention away from fear, symptoms, and constant monitoring of bodily discomfort toward recognition of an underlying wholeness that exists prior to physical disturbance, allowing consciousness to rest in a deeper sense of life that is not defined by temporary conditions. Because attention plays a powerful role in shaping perception, and when individuals continuously focus on pain or dysfunction, those sensations appear magnified, occupying mental space and influencing emotional responses that further intensify bodily stress, interfering with natural healing processes quietly operating beneath awareness throughout every moment of existence. Human perception tends to amplify whatever receives sustained attention, which explains why constant worry about illness often increases suffering beyond the original condition, as the mind repeatedly revisits symptoms, imagines worsening outcomes, and anticipates future difficulties, creating emotional distress that tightens muscles, disrupts breathing patterns, and disturbs sleep necessary for recovery, whereas shifting awareness toward divine presence introduces calm that softens fear, allowing the body to relax and redirect energy toward restoration rather than survival responses triggered by persistent anxiety dominating mental landscape shaping physical experiences encountered daily. Divine presence is not something distant or abstract, but an immediate awareness of life expressing itself through every breath and heartbeat, reminding individuals that existence itself supports them even during periods of vulnerability. And when consciousness becomes anchored in this realization, attention naturally withdraws from obsessive focus upon illness, not through denial but through recognition that physical conditions do not define the totality of one's being, creating psychological space where hope and peace replace fear, encouraging bodily systems to function with greater efficiency free from emotional strain previously draining energy required for healing. Individuals who cultivate awareness of divine presence often report feeling less overwhelmed by symptoms, even before noticeable physical improvement occurs, because their relationship with discomfort changes, replacing panic with acceptance that allows emotional stability supporting recovery, demonstrating that healing sometimes begins with altered perception rather than immediate physical change, since peace reduces internal resistance enabling natural repair processes to continue without interference caused by stress responses activated through fear of illness dominating consciousness during vulnerable periods, requiring emotional resilience sustaining healing journeys, unfolding gradually within embodied experiences shaped by changing circumstances. Focusing upon wholeness also restores confidence that life contains sustaining intelligence guiding recovery beyond personal control, encouraging patience instead of desperation, which frequently arises when individuals believe outcomes depend entirely upon their efforts, whereas awareness of divine presence reminds them healing power operates continuously within bodily systems managing countless processes without conscious direction, providing reassurance, reducing anxiety and promoting relaxation that improves circulation, immune function, and hormonal balance necessary for restoring health across conditions encountered unpredictably within human experiences shaped by environmental, emotional, and physiological influences affecting overall well-being across changing life situations. Another important effect of shifting awareness toward divine presence involves emotional healing, since individuals often attach personal identity to illness, feeling broken or defective when symptoms persist, which deepens suffering and discourages recovery efforts. Yet recognizing inner wholeness dissolves these harmful self-perceptions, enabling compassion toward oneself that softens psychological pressure interfering with bodily healing, showing that self-acceptance rooted in awareness of sustaining presence supports resilience while encouraging healthier behaviors aligned with renewed confidence, guiding lifestyle choices, supporting physical restoration through balance, leaving nurturing vitality across evolving circumstances, shaping personal journeys through vulnerability and strength experienced collectively by humanity. Attention directed toward divine presence also encourages gratitude for aspects of life functioning well despite illness, shifting focus from what appears wrong toward recognition of ongoing support present through relationships, environment, and bodily functions continuing normally, and this gratitude influences emotional states that calm nervous responses, allowing energy previously consumed by fear to become available for healing activities within tissues and organs, responding positively to psychological conditions supporting recovery, revealing that consciousness centered upon appreciation rather than anxiety fosters biological environments conducive to restoration across complex systems, maintaining equilibrium, essential for sustaining health through periods of challenge encountered unpredictably throughout ordinary living, shaped by personal and collective experiences influencing well-being. Furthermore, awareness of divine presence often inspires practices such as meditation, prayer, or quiet contemplation, each encouraging individuals to step beyond constant mental chatter focusing on symptoms and instead experience stillness, nourishing emotional and physiological balance necessary for recovery. How spiritual belief disconnected from daily reality conditions influencing which is for beginning reality. As I know, resilience is not true in which is stability and most body resilience to support and recovering resilient state. Stability, support body restoration. True healing unfolds as an awakening to spiritual reality, rather than a mere attempt to repair physical symptoms, because symptoms are surface expressions of deeper movements within consciousness, and when awareness shifts from identifying solely with the body toward recognizing the spiritual foundation of life, a profound change occurs in how illness is experienced, understood, and ultimately dissolved, revealing that healing is not an external event added to life, but an unveiling of what has always been whole beneath appearances shaped by fear, misunderstanding, and limited perception, guiding human attention toward effects rather than underlying cause. Most people define healing as the disappearance of pain or disease, yet this narrow view often creates frustration when symptoms persist, reinforcing fear and disappointment that deepen suffering, while spiritual awakening reframes healing as recognition of an unchanging reality where life remains intact regardless of bodily conditions, allowing individuals to rest in a deeper identity beyond temporary states, which reduces emotional turmoil and mental resistance that previously interfered with natural restorative processes, showing that healing begins inwardly as understanding replaces confusion about one's true nature rooted in something greater than physical form. Spiritual reality refers to the awareness that life is sustained by an intelligence beyond personal effort, an ever-present source of harmony expressing itself through creation, and awakening to this truth shifts focus from fixing the body to trusting the wisdom guiding it, dissolving the belief that health depends entirely upon human control, which often generates anxiety and tension obstructing recovery, whereas recognizing divine order encourages surrender that allows bodily systems to reorganize naturally according to their original design, supporting balance and renewal without constant interference from fearful thought patterns dominating consciousness. When individuals awaken to spiritual reality, they stop viewing illness as an enemy or punishment and instead perceive it as a call to deeper awareness, reducing internal conflict that drains vitality required for healing, because resistance amplifies suffering while acceptance opens space for transformation, and this acceptance does not mean resignation but a peaceful acknowledgement that life continues to support wholeness even amid physical challenge, allowing emotional calm that stabilizes nervous responses and promotes biological conditions favorable for recovery through improved immune function, circulation, and hormonal balance cooperating harmoniously beyond conscious control. This awakening also dissolves the sense of separation that often accompanies illness, where individuals feel isolated, abandoned, or broken, replacing it with awareness of unity with life itself, which fosters emotional security essential for healing, as the body responds positively to feelings of safety and belonging, reducing stress hormones that suppress immunity and impair repair mechanisms, demonstrating how spiritual understanding influences physiological processes indirectly yet powerfully, by transforming emotional climates, shaping bodily responses, influencing health outcomes across various conditions encountered throughout human experience. As awareness deepens, fear loses authority because individuals recognize that their essence is not confined to physical form, diminishing terror surrounding illness, aging, or death, which often perpetuates suffering more intensely than symptoms themselves, and this release of fear frees mental energy previously consumed by worry, allowing vitality to support healing rather than survival reactions, revealing that spiritual awakening functions as liberation from mental bondage, restricting life's natural flow, sustaining health through calm confidence rooted in trust rather than desperate effort. Healing understood as awakening also transforms motivation for healthy living, since individuals aligned with spiritual reality naturally honor the body as an expression of life rather than a fragile object to be anxiously protected, encouraging gentle care through nourishing habits, rest, and mindful choices arising from respect rather than fear, showing that spiritual awareness supports practical well-being by guiding behavior aligned with balance and moderation, sustaining vitality across changing circumstances encountered within daily living shaped by responsibilities, relationships, and environmental influences affecting health. Moreover, awakening to spiritual reality reveals that healing is ongoing rather than a single event, as consciousness continually unfolds deeper understanding, replacing outdated beliefs, limiting perception, allowing progressive freedom from patterns that once manifested as physical or emotional distress, suggesting that recovery often occurs gradually through shifts in awareness rather than sudden cures alone, highlighting patience as natural companion to healing rooted in trust that life's intelligence works steadily beyond immediate visibility, guiding restoration across time in ways often unnoticed until reflection reveals subtle yet significant transformation. Ultimately, true healing is realization that wholeness is not created but revealed, and as awareness aligns with spiritual reality, the body responds as a reflection of this harmony, restoring balance automatically without force, showing that healing is awakening to what has always been present beneath appearances, guiding individuals toward peace that supports renewal across all levels of being, allowing life to express its inherent intelligence freely through embodied experience, sustaining vitality beyond conditions, shaping perception across evolving human journeys rooted in deeper truth, continuously unfolding within consciousness, aware of unity, sustaining health naturally through understanding rather than struggle. True healing ultimately arises when human awareness awakens to the spiritual reality underlying existence, revealing that health is not merely restoration of bodily function but recognition of life's inherent wholeness already present beneath fluctuating conditions shaping physical experience, because many individuals pursue cures while still believing themselves fragile beings separated from sustaining intelligence, creating anxiety that continually disrupts natural harmony, governing recovery within tissues, responding faithfully to consciousness, guiding internal processes beyond personal control, inviting deeper understanding that transformation begins when identity shifts from limitation toward spiritual completeness, silently supporting every breath throughout changing circumstances encountered across ordinary human journeys where illness often becomes catalyst, encouraging reflection upon assumptions about vulnerability, prompting seekers to question whether suffering results solely from physical malfunction or from deeper misunderstanding concerning humanity's relationship with life, since awakening gradually reveals that spiritual presence continuously sustains existence, dissolving fear which previously intensified symptoms through emotional resistance, manifesting as tension within nerves, muscles, and organs, struggling under psychological burdens carried unconsciously across years, shaped by cultural beliefs, portraying sickness as punishment rather than invitation toward expanded awareness capable of restoring confidence, supporting recovery through renewed perception, grounded within enduring spiritual truth, transcending temporary bodily disturbance, influencing perception. Awakening further encourages release of obsessive control strategies exhausting mental energy, because individuals realize life operates through intelligence coordinating healing processes regardless of personal effort, reducing desperation that frequently accompanies diagnosis, while cultivating patience, allowing emotional equilibrium necessary for biological restoration unfolding naturally across immune, circulatory, and hormonal systems cooperating within intricate networks, maintaining equilibrium despite environmental pressures, challenging bodily resilience throughout unpredictable seasons, influencing human well-being, showing spiritual awakening supports recovery not through denial of medical assistance, but by aligning consciousness with sustaining harmony, strengthening outcomes beyond expectations previously limited by fearful assumptions, restricting possibilities available within living systems. Moreover, recognizing spiritual reality transforms emotional responses toward illness, replacing shame or self-blame with compassion, enabling individuals to support themselves gently rather than intensifying distress through harsh judgment, because acceptance relaxes defensive patterns, restricting healing mechanisms designed for regeneration across cellular structures, constantly renewing bodily tissues, responding to the psychological decline by thoughts either uncovering resilience or recurrently influencing recovery is requiring courage and restoration within restoration within cultures, prioritizing quick solutions over looking deeper transformation essentially enduring the realness of try